Hey everybody, good afternoon. Kind of light on attendance right now, so I'm gonna give it a few more minutes and we'll see if we get some more folks to join. And if not, then we'll just get going. So just a couple more minutes. Thanks for your patience. Hope everyone's doing all right. Hope everyone your backs aren't too sore from all the snow shoveling. No, I've definitely been in that category for the past week or so.
Yeah, but the sun is shining now, so hopefully it'll all melt and go away.
Yeah, at least the temperature isn't quite so miserable
Yep.
Lately. It's always sunny and beautiful in your backdrop, though, Rodney.
What can I tell you? No snow where I am.
Hey, Rodney.
Hey there, how are you?
Hey, good. You do have the best background. I keep telling you that.
Hey. Until the snow goes away, I need a reminder of a kinder, gentler time.
I know that's right. I need to know where that is.
When I find out, I'll be sending out invitations.
Oh, you're going to take care of the travel accommodations?
I got it.
Ooh, I'm loving that.
Yeah, Rodney's, a corridor manager. You're a big deal, even more of a big deal than you already were.
Yeah, but I can assure everybody on the call that trip is not in the budget.
That's what I was asking.
No, that trip is not in the budget. Not in the.
You should have negotiated
not in the quarter manager budget. Yeah, I negotiate a better deal.
Yeah, you should have negotiated your contract there.
Yeah.
Give them the hard sell a little bit more. Well, I was going to say, instead of us all of us know each other pretty well at this point. So I was just going to say, rather than running through all the introductions like we usually do, if there's anybody who's on the call who we haven't, had the pleasure of meeting already, I was just going to ask if you, speak up, if you don't mind.
I've been in a few of the calls, but just in case, my name is Gustavo Ustariz, and I am a marketing specialist with the Urban Main program in the National Main Street Center.
Yeah, thanks, Gustavo. Not everybody may have had a chance to meet you, so yeah. All right, well, let's get rolling. I want to make sure we make good use of our time today. So pull up our agenda. We're not quite at the deadline for our Ogden RFP. And so, we've got a couple of months to maybe turn our attention towards some other topics. And like I mentioned in the past, I've been working more closely with Rodney and Jesse as our corridor managers, and talking about some issues that we might want to address and bring into these meetings. And something that came up was supporting local businesses in the community. And obviously Rodney and Jesse and a lot of other folks on these calls too have a really strong background in that type of work in North Lawndale. And so it kind of seemed like no-brainer to put this on an agenda and have work the knowledge that's in the room here, so to speak. So that's going to take up the bulk of our conversation today. And Rodney and Jesse and also Brenda will be leading part of that conversation, which I'm really excited for, to have somebody else take the pressure off me for a change. I'm going to enjoy that. But first, I thought I'd just give us a quick update on the RFPs. So mostly the Roosevelt Costner Rfp. I know everybody is pretty plugged into this project and you've probably been following along. But if not, we have developer presentations Tuesday and Wednesday evenings of this week. So tomorrow and Wednesday, I believe they start at 6 o'clock. And this is taking the same approach as we have the Invest Southwest RFPs, where the developers prepare videos and we essentially just run those videos, and then there's a Q&A that will follow after that. My West Region colleague Ethan Lassiter is going to be leading that process, and I believe there's going to be 8 presentations. So I just pulled this slide up here to show where we're at in the process. And Ethan, do you want to say anything just about the approach here? Are we getting all 8 presentations, or are we cutting some out?
No, sorry. Hi, everyone. So presentation start at 5:30 actually, tomorrow and Wednesday, just as first note so everyone can get there. I believe there's a flyer that went through the alderman's office, so I hope you all received that and saw the Zoom information or link. Yeah, we'll be presenting all 6 full responses received. If you go on the website, you can see a summary of all 8. However, 2 of those responses were not actually kind of full, complete responses to the RFP. They were ideas and suggestions, not inherently bad things, but they weren't responses to an RFP. So we're presenting all 6 development teams that actually responded to the RFP.
I have something on my calendar that says tonight and Tuesday. So.
Right. I thought it was tonight and tomorrow.
So did I.
Monday and Tuesday are what we have on our calendar.
What I got on my calendar.
Yeah.
Who made that calendar invite?
Um,
Or just what people have? We had to move it. We originally tried to do Monday and Tuesday, and developer teams just weren't available on Monday. We couldn't get enough people for Monday. We moved it. It's what's on the flyer. It's what we've been communicating recently. But sorry that got mixed up, everyone. It's Tuesday and Wednesday at 5:30.
Is the Zoom the same?
Yeah, but the exact same link. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying, Ethan.
Yeah, that's major.
Yeah.
And I guess too, if obviously there was probably some information that went around about Monday and Tuesday. So if you want to kind of spread the word to other folks through your organizations and networks, just to clarify, we don't want. I mean, at least if they show up today, it's not like they're going to show up a day late. Better early than late to miss it. But yeah, if you want to notify, your contacts, it's probably for the best just to make sure that everyone's on the same page.
Either way, I think it's going to mess with some people's calendars. A lot of us have meetings in the evenings, and so I think that may cause an impact on who's able to make that meeting on Tuesday, on Wednesday.
Well, I believe they will be recorded and shared on the DPD YouTube channel as well. So if you go to YouTube and you search DPD Chicago, they should be posted up there. That's correct, right, Ethan? That's how we're doing it?
Yeah, they'll be recorded and we'll share out everything from those. But yeah, apologies. We did agree on Monday and Tuesday. In trying to coordinate with the teams, they couldn't do Monday, and we switched it and tried to communicate that out. But yeah.
And if you can't make it and you have some questions for the team or anything in particular, I'd encourage you to email Ethan about that, and hopefully we can get your question represented. So then like I mentioned, for Ogden, there's really no news on that at this point. It's just, we're kind of hanging tight and giving time for, developers and partners to respond, and deadline is March 30th. All right, so I'm gonna move on here. So like I mentioned, we'd like to do a presentation, have some discussion and input on local economic development in the community. for, well, I already had the agenda up, so but I'm going to start off and just talk about some background data, and then I'm going to talk about the city's programs and what, not just the city, but, you know, programs that we also administer for like the county, and just give some background on that. Then I'm going to hand it over to Rodney, Jesse, and Brenda, and they're going to talk about some of the other resources that are out there in the community. And then, you know, we'll look at some local examples, and then also then we'll open it up to the group. But I would say too, if anybody wants to chime in or just, you know, raise your hand and interrupt with a question, that's perfectly fine throughout the presentation. So I did some just basic research on, you know, the economy in North Lawndale, and kind of taking the temperature of, you know, like where are people working, you know, what are the major business sectors here. And I think, you know, everyone on the call, you probably have a pretty good idea that, you know, the strongest sectors in the community are obviously like, you know, in healthcare with Lawndale Christian and Sinai, but then also too, in falling under the service category is also, I think it falls under like a weird kind of subcategory of like other, but, you know, with film production and CineSpace, that's a huge driver of employment in the community as well. So there's 630 active businesses, employing about 18,000 employees. This is all accurate to 2018. And so if you look in the table below, you know, half of those businesses are in the service sector, but like about 80% of the jobs in the community are in the service sector, driven mostly by healthcare. But then, you know, 18% of the businesses in the community are retail. The next row down with manufacturing, 7% of the businesses are in manufacturing. But obviously, if you look at the number of employees, that's really kind of punching above its weight there with, you know, over 1,400 employees, even though it's, you know, less than half of the number of businesses in retail. Manufacturing is, you know, each business is going to be employing quite a few more employees than a retail business. And then finance and real estate and construction are down there to make kind of just barely making the list. I also made this heat map here of the concentration of active business licenses. So bear in mind, this does not represent employees, because obviously that map would look much different, you know, for the Sinai and Lawndale Christian campuses. But, you know, for the sake of our conversation today, of looking at like where are like retail corridors, you know, where are like small businesses clustered, you know, we're not talking about attracting another hospital or a healthcare provider here. We're talking about, you know, how can we support these existing and aspiring local businesses to, you know, help fill in some of these major corridors in the community. Obviously, our focus here is Ogden, but it's not the only commercial corridor in North Lawndale. So, you know, if you look at it, it's North Lawndale. I included these surrounding communities here just for example, where you can see like, you know, 26th Street in Little Village there, South Lawndale community area, obviously really, really dense small business environment there. If you go east towards Pilsen, you know, you're looking at like 18th Street there, obviously a really strong cluster of businesses. Up above on the north end, you can see the commercial corridor just west of Garfield Park on Madison. Obviously, there's a strong cluster of businesses there. But in North Lawndale, you know, we just don't really see that kind of level of density on the heat map. Some around the Pulaski, Ogden, and Cermak intersection, and obviously on Roosevelt towards the north, but not that sort of thriving, you know, level of business concentration that you see in some of these other surrounding commercial corridors. It's what's stuck out to me. So I'm going to move to talking about the city resources for supporting, you know, existing and startup small businesses. Obviously,
can I ask you a question? Are you?
Go ahead. No, feel free to interrupt. Please do.
Here's a question. When you look at the data that you presented around businesses, do you count home-based businesses and churches?
For the so these are actually two different data sources. For the table here, this is not city business licenses, but this I'm pretty sure if this would capture anything that requires a business license. So some home businesses like home daycare, I know, have to get licensed. The church question is a good one. I don't think the churches are, I think it's a separate license. So I don't think
Hi,
it's,
this is Kenya. Churches actually aren't licensed unless they are actually conducting business transactions. And to her question, for home-based businesses, if they're conducting the transaction, then they should also be licensed as well. There are some tech companies that we don't have a license type for, but a vast majority of home-based businesses or brick and mortar should be licensed. Whether or not they're licensed is the question, right? What we know to be true, particularly around our communities, is that many people will have a side hustle that they're running out of their home, and they're not they're not
License. That's right.
yeah. So they may or may not be captured if the data that ESRI pulled is on licensed businesses. And so what we know to be true, even within BACP, is that there's a vast majority of businesses just across the city that aren't licensed.
awesome. Thanks for
Thanks for
joining me, Kenya. I didn't see you were on the call, so.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, I have a question as well. This is Rodney. As recently as maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I secured a list from the city of actually 540 licensed businesses in North Lawndale. And to the point that you asked Deborah, I've got addresses, but I don't have contact information. We're trying now to break that information down and find out where all these businesses are located. But since I have you guys on the line, Kenya or Brian, do either of you have any way in which I can get contact information for these guys?
Hey, Rodney. Yeah. Hey, Rodney. Unfortunately, we aren't able to share contact information for the businesses.
Okay.
We're able, of course, you're able to pull down the data from our data portal on where the businesses are.
Yeah.
But maybe we can talk offline. If there's something specific that you're trying to do, maybe we can figure out a way to best address the businesses in North Lawndale, depending upon what you're trying to do, but we can talk offline about that.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks for weighing in, Kenya. It's a big help. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of these programs because I think most of us are familiar with them, and I want to reserve time for Rodney and Jesse and Brenda to talk to you. So Neighborhood Opportunity Fund is funded by special fees paid by developers in the downtown area to essentially purchase a higher level of density, and 80% of those funds go towards NOF. And so it stands out in that regard because it's not funded by TIF or property taxes or other city revenues. Eligible for the NOF program, you could be a commercial property owner, you could be leasing your business, and it's also open to nonprofits as long as they're providing a commercial activity that's open to the public. So, it wouldn't be for something like a community center, but to use like a NLEN and Brenda as an example, they want to open up a cafe as part of their new center. So if it's something like that, then it would be eligible. The funds can go towards expanding or renovating an existing business. It can go into a build out for a startup business. It can also go to new construction, but let's see what the bottom point there where it's saying property acquisition can be part of it, but that has to just be one component of the project. And one thing to call out that's important too is there's the NOF small and the NOF large. NOF small has the bulk of the projects fall under that category, so it's grants up to $250,000. Compared to the NOF large projects, which I think the maximum on that is $2.5 million. And that's a much more intensive process than the small project track because it's got to get city council approval, and you also need to comply with the MWBE and other construction compliance requirements that the city asks of larger projects. And so eligible locations in North Lawndale here, pretty much every major business corridor is covered. You know, the Invest Southwest corridors, as well as the priority corridors that you can see here. So, you know, Pulaski, Ogden, 16th Street, Roosevelt, Cermak, Kedzie. There's also the Small Business Improvement Fund, which is open to industrial as well as commercial business, kind of separates it from NOF. It's also dependent on TIF revenue. So the projects have to be within the boundaries of a TIF district. These grants, they can cover anywhere from 30 to 90% of eligible costs for a project. It depends on whether it's commercial or industrial. You can get 150,000 maximum for commercial projects, 250,000 for industrial projects. And these can go to a number of permanent improvements like interior or facade renovations. You know, if you want to replace like the HVAC, things like that, kind of functional elements. It can also go towards some soft costs, such as architecture and engineering fees. Oh, that photo too, Delcar Pharmacy on 16th Street is an example in North Lawndale. And the application process, so as funding is approved, you know, for these TIF districts to go to fund SPIF projects, application windows open. So we do have it mapped out, I should say scheduled out over the next, you know, year and a half to 2 years. And the Ogden Pulaski TIF is open for SPIF applications in March of 2021. It'll be open for a month. The Midwest TIF, which covers, you know, North Lawndale, Garfield Park, really large area, that'll open up in February of 2022. And the way that projects are funded is that if there are more projects requesting funding than funding is available, there will be a lottery to select. And then the projects that aren't chosen in the lottery go on a waiting list. And just, you know, one more thing to call out here that we see a lot of are the Cook County property tax incentives. So related to commercial development, these are the class 7A and 7B projects. And the A projects are everything with a total project budget of 2 million or less. The 7B is anything that has a total project budget of more than 2 million. There's not much of a difference between the two, but the 7B projects, because they're larger scale, tend to get a little bit more scrutiny in the financial evaluation. But you know, these projects, to be eligible for class 7A and 7B, it has to be a commercial project that is either new construction or rehab of a vacant property. And eligibility, it needs to be located in a designated redevelopment area. So that could be a TIF, it could be an opportunity zone, it could be an enterprise zone. So pretty much all of North Lawndale is covered by that. And then DPD does a financial review. Even though it's a county program, they come through DPD for support first. DPD would do like an underwriting review of it. They require city council approval if it's found to be an eligible project. And then these have a 12-year abatement period, where the first 10 you get about a 60%, you get a 60% reduction in your property taxes due to a reduced assessment rate, and then that slowly goes up over the final 2 years of it. I'll stop here. I'm going to hand it off to Rodney and Jesse and Brenda. If anybody has any questions, feel free to jump in. If not, I'll hand it off to them. And just let me know when you want to change the slides.
Why don't we do this if, because we don't have any slides for Brenda, right? So Brenda, are you ready to...
Guys, I wasn't sure I was doing this with you today. So, because you know I love to have a slide or two.
I know you do, I know you do.
But I'm happy to support
Sure.
in any way you need.
So you want to just talk about your campus and what's going on? Give us the latest on that. Just get you
Well,
started.
sure.
Okay.
Are you kidding? You're giving me a chance.
Absolutely. I told you you could. So I wanted to make sure you get a chance.
Yeah. Well, absolutely appreciate it. I won't take a lot of time. But thank you all.
Go ahead. I was going to say at the end, I do have a slide that's about the Lawndale Plaza, everything that's going on there, and I do have just like a bullet point about your project.
Well, why don't we start
Okay.
with you, because that puts it in perspective, right? I would love to hear what's going on at Lawndale Plaza, and then I'll speak briefly about what we're doing with
Okay.
with the campus.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'll cue you up for that. So Rodney, why don't you take it from
All right.
here?
Flip the next slide then. So before we get into what New Covenant does, one of the things I want to make clear, I want to make a point about is that you guys noticed from the map that Brian showed earlier, what I'll call that heat-seeking map, and you notice how cool it was in North Lawndale. Part of the challenge we have is just that. How do we rebuild the economic structure within North Lawndale so that we create some more heat within our community? Our biggest focus or reason for doing that is that if we can build the infrastructure, we get local businesses to grow, we get new businesses attracted to North Lawndale, then we get that almighty dollar to circulate a lot more in North Lawndale, and that increases the potential for wealth development and engagement here in North Lawndale. So when you look at what New Covenant's all about, go ahead and flip to the next screen, next slide, please. You know, so our mission as part of at NCCDC is to establish a community sustainable through entrepreneurial economic development via classes, workshops, and one-on-one business coaching. That's what New Covenant's been doing since we got to North Lawndale. We're looking at how do we help build this community. When we look at all the things that were needed in North Lawndale, the three of us that started at this, that started this, Dennis Deere, Mark Ferguson, and myself, we looked around and said that the skill set that we bring to the table involves new businesses, developing business, supporting businesses. So that's what we focused on. There's already organizations in the community that are focusing on housing and workforce development, things like that. And so our focus was to partner with those organizations as part of our redevelopment plan in North Lawndale. And it's our vision that we think that we can replicate this model, not just in North Lawndale, but throughout the city of Chicago. Next slide. So here's some of the services that we offer for entrepreneurs. So we have a partnership with Sunshine Enterprise, where we have a CBA class that we offer. It's called Community Benefit Academy. And there we provide a 12-week class to teach people how to start and grow their businesses. What New Covenant did is that we realized that there are a lot of organizations throughout the city in this ecosystem that talk about business development. So they have a 10 or 12-week class, teach people how to put together a business plan. They have 1, maybe 2 weeks in that program where they talk about the finances. And what happens in all those classes is that the students go, yeah, they shake their head, they're not their heads like they're getting it, but the numbers go completely over their head. So we stepped back and we created a 7-week, which now we think needs to be an 8-week class that focuses on nothing but the numbers. And so when you come to our class, the Financial Dashboard course, you will understand how to run your business based on the numbers. And our focus, people, is not to create CPAs or accountants, but to put our people, our entrepreneurs, our clients in position where they can have a conversation with the accountant, know what questions to ask them, and then know when the answers make sense or not. Our real estate development course is one that we put together to, again, when you look at what's going on in North Lawndale, we thought it was important that community residents understand real estate development. And if they want to become a developer, or if they want to be able to have a conversation with the developer, same concept as the dashboard course, to be able to understand what those conversations should include and when the answers that they were having made sense or not. So the next 2 bullet points here are related. When COVID hit, we created what we call our entrepreneur think tank. The think tank was initially designed to help our clients and understand or think about, what's life going to be like during and after COVID. As you guys may require, when the mayor and the governor shut down the city and state because of the virus, that severely impacted a lot of our people. And a lot of our business owners were wondering what were they going to do. So we created the think tank so that we can share ideas, we can support each other, and we can give each other some help build some morale, so that as people were looking at how do they pivot, they had an opportunity to come out of COVID stronger than what they went into. And so the think tank and the workshops are all related around ideas and suggestions for small business owners in terms of how they can improve their businesses, how they can pivot, even some new ideas that they can use if the current business idea or current model isn't working anymore. And then we also provide one-on-one coaching and advising and consulting services for small businesses as well. Next slide. So annually, we provide classroom instruction for about 150 students. That number varies from year to year. We provide coaching hours, and we believe that it is very important to provide the coaching piece. I want to focus on that for a minute because anybody can take a 10 or 12-week class, but after being in business for years and years and years, I know that a 12-week class is not going to make you an entrepreneur. It's not going to make you a business owner. So we pride ourselves on having coaches that have real life experience in entrepreneurship and running a business and able to hold the hands of our clients and students after they've taken the class, after they've worked on a business plan. So we're there available for them if they ever need any support or questions about what else they can do in their business. I know that when I was in school, having an instructor or professor that had real world experience played a major role in my understanding and my development. So we also have partnerships with other organizations where they send small business owners to us to assist in preparing financial plans. So we help them to put together the financial documents necessary to submit those for applications for loans and other grants. And we work with them to make sure they have the proper documentation, et cetera. We did a lot of work with people for PPP and EIDL loans and things like that when the pandemic hit. We also work with folks to guide them in the development of their business plans. One of the things that we don't do is we don't actually write the business plans, but quite frankly, I'm finding there's really a strong need for people to help them learn how to write their business plans, because writing skills is not something that a lot of our business owners have. So we're looking at how we can better facilitate that service as well. And then again, as an organization that believes in collaboration, we collaborate with more than a dozen other community-based organizations to support small businesses in one form or another. And that's in North Lawndale, the West Side, and across the city, as a matter of fact. Next slide. So in the future, we're going to develop an entrepreneur class that is beyond what most folks are doing as it relates to the 10 to 12-week class. We're looking to develop an advanced entrepreneur course we call an Entrepreneur Premier that we're going to put together. The same thing for the financial dashboard. We're finding that as people complete that course, they have a thirst and a desire for understanding what's the next level in running a business. So we're going to get into some things in the second course that we don't talk about in the first course. And then we believe that it's very important also to develop a social enterprise. And in our model, the social enterprise, we're going to hire some people that come to our classes, some of our students, and some people that we're coaching into the social enterprise, so they actually get a chance to learn how to run a business, small business, while they're in the process of learning at the same time. Next. And so a little bit more about the social enterprise. Again, when we look at this, we believe that it's going to be key that people who are learning how to run a business, who want to expand their business, that they have some actual experience in it. So we're going to show them how to maximize the profits while benefiting the society in general. A lot of the people that come to our doors, when we ask them why they want to run a business, oftentimes we'll hear things like they want to help their community. They want to help the people that came behind them. So for our people, it's not just about making money, although we do have some that come in and say, hey, it's all about the mighty dollar. And we don't fault them for that. That's what they want to do. That's fine. But a number of them do come through saying that they want to figure out how they can help rebuild the community. So for us, when we look at this, we're going to talk about how do we create an atmosphere where they can learn how to run a business and then be supportive of the community as well. So we've talked about things like PPE, mask guards, and things like that when we talked as COVID hit. And so those things are not out of the realm of possibility for us, but those kind of things we're talking about. So now we're looking at funding for this enterprise. And as we get that, we'll let people know exactly where we stand on that one. Next slide. So we've talked a while also about having an incubator. One of the things that other parts of the city have that we don't, and I know that there's a lot of conversation about doing this in North Lawndale now, but there's a lot of places where, a lot of opportunities rather, where our people need to be able to go somewhere and just kind of sit for a while, if you will, sit under the leadership of other business owners, sit under the leadership of somebody that's doing this already, and then have an opportunity to have resources around them. So we've talked about having an incubator that will provide clerical and administrative help for them. We've talked about having office space, because a lot of times a new business owner will not be able to afford to pay for rent for a full-fledged office. And so we're looking at how do we make sure that helps, that's available for them. And we think a computer lab is always something that people will be able to take advantage of. And then a community center. Our community is looking for and in need of services and places where they can gather, where they can do different things. So New Covenant is looking to be part of the solution for that process as well. Next slide, Brian. So we're also building a chamber. You know, there are chambers in other parts of the city, and North Lawndale does not have a fully well-established chamber. And the part of the challenges you can see is in part due to that lack of heat-seeking map that you saw earlier. You know, when I mentioned there's 540 businesses in North Lawndale, uh, I was interviewed recently by a guy from Chicago Cranes. He's right now, I drove up and down Roosevelt and other major thoroughfares, and I didn't see the local businesses in North Lawndale. So we're looking at how do we pull those businesses together and then provide them with resources that's going to help them grow their local businesses. So right now we've got monthly meetings going on. We have guest speakers that come in and talk about specific topics, and we're looking to create an opportunity for small business owners to be able to network. Most chambers are just that, they're networking opportunities. So we're in our meetings, we're able to get people together to talk about what they're doing. They can share ideas, and some of them even start to do business with each other. So for us, we're looking to expand this operation as well. Next. And then the North Lawndale Community Coordinating Council, whom most of you are familiar. I've got the link here for the Quality of Life Plan. I would encourage all of you to click on that link if you haven't seen it yet. But NLCCC is all about trying to figure out how do we rebuild North Lawndale. And I'm the chair of the Economic Development Committee, but the other chairs on this committee will tell you that their committee is just as important as economic development. We used to have little jokes and laughs about that, but I've truly come to believe that's true, because not one of us could rebuild our issue area without addressing all of the issue areas that are needed in North Lawndale. So I can't do housing without addressing education, without addressing workforce development, without addressing economic development. So NLCCC is focused on how do we rebuild this community so that we bring all those amenities up together at a time as we rebuild the community, and people are moving back into North Lawndale and wanting to do so because they feel like it's a safe place for them to live and to work and to have their business. You know, currently, New Covenant is the lead and fiscal agent for this. We're looking to have NLCCC become its own 501c3 going forward. In the past, we've used Sinai, SCI, as a lead and as a fiscal agent for us as it relates to the Fiscal Travel Award and other things like that. So again, you know, NLCCC is a very collaborative effort, and we're looking forward to, you know, as we look at each issue being built up, looking forward to the redevelopment of North Lawndale as part of our mission and our vision as it relates to that. Next slide. So I just wanted you to see the org chart for NLCCC. You'll see here all of the different issue areas that we are addressing in North Lawndale. When we formed NLCCC, this was the structure that we put in place, and this is still pretty much what it is today. So back in 2015, when we were looking at what we needed to get started, what we wanted to address, this is what we put together. And to date, we're still addressing these same issues. We're still focused on this. And I'm really proud to say that our council, if you will, hasn't backed down. We're not backing off. We've had some ups and downs, but we're moving forward, and we've had some really, really great successes. You know, Brenda's is a great example of that. The SCI and the Ogden Commons is another great example of that. You know, Richard's working on 1,000 homes in North Lawndale. So there's plenty of evidence of what can happen when you collaborate and work together as a community. And the thing that we're most proud of about this is being done by stakeholders in North Lawndale. This plan was not put together by somebody from downtown or somebody that somebody sent. This is from people who've been working in this community for decades, saying, look, we need to do something, we need to rebuild this community, and this is what we're looking at. And these are issues that we're going to address to make that happen. Next slide. And that's the end of that. So any comments or questions, you know, feel free to let me know. But our focus is to figure out how do we rebuild North Lawndale as far as the economic structure is concerned. And so our desire is to be instrumental in that process. We want to work on not only building the businesses that are here in North Lawndale right now, building them up, but also looking at attracting new businesses to North Lawndale. And I think you've got a slide later on, Brian. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So I'll save that part of the conversation until later. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Rodney. That was excellent. Really informative. Does anyone have any comments, questions?
Just kudos to Rodney and the amazing work that he's doing in North Lawndale. I think he's absolutely right that, you know, previously there hadn't been a presence that was strictly focused on economic and business development. And he and others have, and Bruce and others have taken that charge and just super enthused about the work that they've done so far and what's to come. So kudos to Rodney and the team.
I appreciate that, Kenya, but I'm going to have to insist that it's the others that also make this happen. This is truly a team effort. I don't think any one person or even one organization can do what needs to be done here. So thank you for that.
Yeah, great. And it's also worth acknowledging too that this is by no means a comprehensive list of who is doing this type of work in the community.
Right.
So to, you know, kind of putting in some kind of real life examples or like what we're talking about here today, I just thought, you know, let's highlight a couple of areas in the community where there is some traction with growing businesses and or improving current businesses to, you know, provide better amenities and just services to North Lawndale residents. And Brenda, this is where we'll bring you into the conversation. But, you know, one thing that I've been really impressed with, you know, seeing the effort and investment that's going on in at the Lawndale Plaza Shopping Center, because this is a location where there's been a lot of vacancy. And even with the improvements that are going on here, there still are a number of vacant storefronts here. But, you know, this is kind of a outdated strip mall that has, you know, struggled to, you know, maintain occupancy there. But, you know, there's some really good stories going on here. I'll step out of the way in a second, but outside of Brenda's project, which I'll let her handle, the city is also investing in Leamington Foods with a NOF large project to remodel it. And also, Sophia Carey talked about this at our last meeting about the Soleil restaurant. They're opening a new location in this mall as well with the NOF small grant, $250,000. And picture in the image is Bridget, I can't remember what her last name is, but she's the owner. And they have a location in West Town right now, and they're going to be opening a second in North Lawndale. So without any further ado, Brenda, please do tell us more about your project.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. Always. I just want to start by saying I think that the North Lawndale Community Coordinating Council is just, it has been the catalyst by which so many coordinated and good work is actually coming together as a collective rather than sort of operating in our independent silos. And I think that leadership matters. And so really, I want to make sure that you understand that, Rodney, that it takes the right kind of leader to get that kind of momentum and collective work together. And so I'm with Kenya. Just want to give you some kudos because you really are a very humble servant leader. And I thank you for your work and your leadership. So the North Lawndale campus is coming along. We're actually going to be moving in. It looks like furniture arrives March 5th. It takes about 8 days for the furniture to be all established and set up, and the drywall's up, everything is happening. So it looks like we'll be able to occupy our new campus on the 15th of March. So that said, we're just excited about being able to enlarge in our footprint and to be able to better meet the diverse needs of the job seekers in North Lawndale. I think that, you know, we have done our part to make sure that those who have been traditionally left out of the workforce, those with criminal records, those with significant barriers to employment, that we have great programming in place and services for them. But where I think we have fallen short is making sure that the entire community of North Lawndale knows that we're there for them. And by having this 20,000 square foot building that is a very beloved building in North Lawndale. This was the original Community Bank of North Lawndale that was put together by North Lawndale leadership to create a bank where there wasn't one. And for us to be able to help transform that building into this, this exciting campus and to bring a bank with us in this location, it just, we're hoping that it really becomes all that we envision it to be, which is a place where people know they'll be treated and receive services and supports that will change their economic position. Let me just pause and say that Wintrust is going to be opening up their doors March 1st. So their part of the building got fixed before the rest of ours, which is okay by me because they'll be paying rent. But that aside, they have already hired 5 residents who are from North Lawndale to lead this bank. And these are individuals that have experience at Wintrust, so that when you drive up to the drive-through or when you come into the office and into the to the bank facility, you'll be treated with the utmost of care and respect by people who live in this neighborhood. Oh my gosh, that just that moves me very much. And they have a very big commitment to creating a pipeline for jobs in the banking sector for residents of North Lawndale, whether you have a criminal record or not. They want more people from North Lawndale to be targeted and trained and work for Wintrust, the network of Wintrust banks throughout the city of Chicago. So very excited about introducing that sector to our residents. I will say that we have currently 56 employees at North Lawndale that will be occupying this space. We have 3 training rooms in the facility. There's a wonderful place for the very first time since our inception that we have a kitchen and a place where employees can sit down. It's a lounge that we're calling Chat and Chew. So a place where people can sit, chat and chew and have a good time. We're inviting our Wintrust guests who are in the building to join us there. And we're really looking to forge a real partnership with them because we need to promote good banking products that they'll be offering. And we want people to know that they can refer us to them, whoever's seeking their customers to our services as well. We also have finally come up with a name for our cafe. We were originally hoping to call this the Worker Bee Cafe. Some of you may have heard me refer to it as that because I was in love with the name. And then we started to do all the legal work and found out that we couldn't because it was a federally trademarked name and out of California, and they could charge, there are all kinds of wonderful legal issues. So we started to figure out what the right name would be. And eventually we were looking at either the North Lawndale Cafe or the Bee Love Cafe. So which one do you think we went with?
Bee Love.
We went with the Bee Love Cafe because we already have the mark, and there's just such familiarity with this as well. So that was important. So Bee Love Cafe, you'll start to see more information about that. And I'm excited about working with Rodney and within CCC around all the wonderful work you all are doing around entrepreneurship, because we will be one of a number of locations where entrepreneurs can do pop-ups in the Michael Scott Senior event space that we have. And so we're excited about making sure that just, featuring on a Friday, coming up with a schedule when those businesses are ready to elevate their business and raise more awareness, that we will be a place where they can do that. So we're excited about partnering with you around that. And the other piece I'll just note is we have a peace garden, and many of you know Harrison Staines. And Harrison, of course, and just was an amazing supporter of what we're doing in North Lawndale. And he certainly was instrumental in the final grant that we received for our campus. And so we have named a fountain after him in what's called the Peace Garden. And in this Peace Garden, we'll have bricks and pavers available for community residents who want to honor a loved one or a family member, or just want to have their own family recognized, for any reason in the cafe. And so it will be the Harrison Staines community fountain that will be there, and then we'll have all these beautiful community bricks. And I want to thank many of you, Richard, including Richard and Deborah, who have supported the Sweet Beginnings tea, and we'll have your names put on bricks as well. So I also want to say that we have a great partnership with Lincoln Park Zoo. So when we talk about bringing economic development and new partnerships, I'm just loving what's happening. We're talking about Wintrust Bank, we're talking about Lincoln Park Zoo, and so many other investors through the cafe, just, featuring local entrepreneurs who have great scones and biscuits and things like that we'll be able to feature in the cafe. And then last, I'll just say that we have Sweet Beginnings will have a huge production space in this location, and that we're inviting the community to come in to watch production. We'll have windows that people can come in and see how Bee Love products are made, while we continue to create jobs for people that have barriers to employment. So there's a financial opportunity center. Just excited to have this hub come to fruition. And I really am grateful to the city of Chicago for their support as a large NOF grantee, and for just the support of this community. Every time we talk about it, I can't tell you how many people are excited about us opening up our doors. So thank you all. I don't know if there are any other questions, but I'll stop there because I could keep going, but I probably have taken up enough time.
Thank you, Brenda.
Sure.
No, that's great. Thanks so much, Brenda. You know, I was going to try to reserve some time at the end for discussion. I think I don't want to rush that. So maybe, you know, we kind of do a little bit more of like a kind of working discussion meeting at our next one around this issue. I'm totally fine with that because I've really enjoyed hearing, you know, you and Rodney talk, and, you know, it's been really informative for me. And I think it's great to, you know, make sure that everybody else is aware of the good work that you're doing. And I think too, you know, I mean, from my own perspective, I think it's really important as we try to, you know, work towards other, you know, wins like this in the community to understand what's already been successful and, you know, as a kind of a model that, you know, maybe we follow and work to amplify other, you know, businesses and organizations like your own, and, you know, hopefully, you know, grow on what's been done. So I just have one additional slide here that, you know,
Brian, before you go on, can I make another comment, please, on the previous
Sure,
slide?
yeah, please do.
So I want to have one comment about Soleil Restaurant. This is an example of what we're talking about when we're talking about having other businesses located in other parts of the city relocate to North Lawndale. So Bridget Flagg is her name, and she's opening up her second location in North Lawndale at the mall because number one, she's also a North Lawndalian, so she grew up in North Lawndale. But this is the kind of opportunity that exists in North Lawndale. So she's going to have a lot of traffic that she's bringing with her already. We're also working on, for those who don't know, we're also working on having days move from the present location to this mall area. So there'll be two food-based businesses with a lot of traffic. And so we're looking to do, if anybody has any connections or thoughts about any other businesses outside North London they think might be good candidates for us to go after, the Alderman has been working with us really great as it relates to this business, Soleil. He's been very good at instrumental in this. DPD's been part of it. So we've had resources behind us that are willing to help us bring new businesses into North Lawndale. So the people that you know about that might be good candidates for us to go after, by all means, please let me know.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Rodney, I'm going to add one more thing, which is you're absolutely right. I can't wait for this. All I can know, the last call we had, it sounds like their food is so amazing. So I'm excited about
awesome.
having a great option like that. But one of the other things that demonstrates the collaboration that we have in North Lawndale is Bruce and I have, first of all, Bruce has been really helpful around ideas and questions that we've had about launching a cafe, because we all love the green tomato, and they've just have led the way when it comes to offering good quality food, locally sourced for the most part. And so we've been working with him, but I will also say that one of the things we're excited about is that we're planning on having a joint loyalty coffee club, you know, something like that. So if you pick up your coffee at the Green Tomato, or if you pick up your coffee at Be Love Cafe, that, you know, we're going to be honoring one another. And I think that's the kind of cool thing that we want to do as a community. We think that, and Bruce has really helped me see this, that the more cafes we have, the more we become a destination location for people. So I just wanted to give a little shout out, because that's an important sort of demonstration of what partnership and community looks like as well.
Absolutely.
On competition. And when can I come over and buy my first cup of coffee? I missed that.
Oh, you know what? Good question. So if you want a cup of coffee now, you can go to the Green Tomato. But if you want a cup of coffee in April, come see us.
Cool. We'll be there.
Thank you.
Yeah, please keep us updated. When we can come in person. And Rodney, thank you. I meant to put Dave's Red Hots on the slide here too. That's also coming to Lawndale Plaza. So yeah, you know, again, another locally owned business. So yeah, it's really good to see you know, this kind of like local involvement in these projects here. And you know, another project that's going on is obviously Ogden Commons, and maybe not quite as North Lawndale centric in the businesses that are going there, but this is another place too where the city is leveraging economic development funds to bring African American owned businesses to the first phase of the development here with Jog Grill and a steak and shake that's owned by a black franchisor.
So Ja Grill, come on, y'all. That is some good Jamaican food, man. I am so excited about that place. It is good, good, good.
Yeah, and this is Deborah. The other part of Ogden Commons that we're working on, which is in the second phase, is North Lawndale Children's Museum, which will really, that's moving forward. And then we have a grocer that wants to, they've asked for 42,000 square feet on the lower floor. So we're just trying to work out the numbers, the business piece of it, but that is something that is definitely moving forward for sure.
Great, thanks for chiming in, Deborah, with the news on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, that's why I put that second bullet point in there, or the bottom bullet point about that. There are going to be more commercial and retail buildings that are coming online here, and I had heard some rumblings around the grocery store. I hadn't really heard any news on it yet, but it's another opportunity where there's going to be new commercial space coming into North Lawndale. The RFP site on Ogden, we're going to prioritize pedestrian-oriented mixed-use building, as we've previously discussed, and we're doing everything we can to establish that we want there to be community ownership in terms of who the tenant is, and also in the ownership of the project itself, to financially benefit from it. So, it's our hope that a couple of years from now, we're going to have a similar story around that project, saying like, look, this other small local business found a new home at that site as well. So like I mentioned, we blew through our time here. I'm fine with that because I think this is a lot of great information around and great conversation. But I think that for our next meeting, one thing that I've talked with Rodney and Jesse quite a bit about, despite all of the kind of goodwill and positive vibes from the conversation today, we can do better. There are some very real challenges to, small business owners, whether they're entrepreneurs or existing businesses in the community. And let's try to identify, what some of those barriers are, and consider, what can be done, and just kind of brainstorm around that. I know some of them they're big challenges, and it's not the kind of thing that I'm going to be able to say, oh, well, we can fix it by this. It's stuff that takes, more kind of longer term structural change. But let's get those things out in the open and have that conversation, and also talk about what the opportunities are too. What are some of the places like on Ogden, or, in other locations in the community where there's potential to maybe, whether it's like rehab a building that's kind of been, struggling for a long time to attract, new stores or things like that. I'd love to pick everyone's brains about that and just kind of have a brainstorming session, so we can move that to the next meeting. I don't want to try to tackle it in 2 minutes. But yeah, if anybody else has any comments before we wrap up, I don't have a hard stop.
I would recommend, and I'm only saying this because my family, we own businesses, is it might, when you talk about kind of barriers, if you will, or blocks, it would be interesting to hear from Black businesses that are not in North Lawndale and what the perceived barriers are. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. What would it take, for them to, I mean, it's kind of like for our shoe store, I would have to build a case with my brothers to move, to open up a second location. Then the same thing with some other, businesses that are in other areas of the city that might, anyway, I'm just throwing it out there. Might be a round table or something around
Yeah,
that.
so Deborah, what I hear you saying is that like it may be a roundtable would be great, will be helpful to have a comprehensive discussion around entrepreneurship across the city, right? Not just what's specific to North Lawndale, around what are some of the challenges some of our business owners are having with either starting or maybe even scaling, whether that's adding new employees or adding a second location, what those challenges are with doing that in the city.
Yeah, but you can put it in politically correct way. Yes, of course.
Yeah, but Deborah, to be fair, I think that what you, again, you can correct this, but it seems like there are very specific challenges and concerns that people may have about doing business specifically in North Lawndale that we need, that we want to dispel, right?
Absolutely. And
Right.
and the fact that we know, and if you have a business and you got a lease, it's and we found that with when we had the civic unrest,
Yeah.
that went on, and so the landlord gets the money, not the businesses to make the repairs or whatever, and so the businesses are still struggling because the money wasn't necessarily it was to support the building,
Right.
around that, and so the folks want to be the owner of their own property or be beholden to a landlord. I mean, there are issues that come into play, and I can just say that because I know with the hat store that's one of the things that's being worked out is just to buy the building. That way you can control it in a different way. So, anyway,
no, I think it's a really important conversation to have, and I think that's where I think that Rodney and the business, community that he's working with, we could host some kind of a very specific, because what people, there are untold stories around who got money, who didn't, and why businesses are thriving and why they're not thriving.
right.
And so I think it would be well worth having that conversation, because we have to educate people, and then they will make different decisions. They will make sure they get the kind of insurance that they need, because people tend to go that, well, I'll pass on my insurance, or for me, I think it's about having legal advice. People need to set up their systems through organizations like Rodney's and others, where they can get free access to legal support, because you have to have a strong legal blueprint for your business. So I think that's timely. I think it's timely.
And it's an economic, kind of proposition you have to really speak to. I mean, that's part of the thing with the grocer. We're putting together a plan that can show there is revenue for them to make in North Lawndale.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know we're running short of time, but we know that's why Leamington has been such an interesting opportunity.
Yeah. There you go.
Right? Because we were hoping to get a Whole Foods. Why not a Whole Foods? There's an economic story there that we need to lift up.
Yeah, but anywho, that's my sense. Not politically correctly stated.
Well, I think given the nature of North Lawndale, there are definitely some pros and cons about why people do or don't want to come to North Lawndale. And I think while there may be some common issues across entrepreneurship and small business across the city, I do agree that there are some very specific issues that when we have people coming to our office saying, hey, I want to do business, I'd love to locate in North Lawndale. And one of the major issues we have is, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? There's no infrastructure here. So part of what we have to do is to build up. You talked earlier, Brian, about maybe there might be some buildings that could be rehabbed that might be attractive for some retail space. We need a strategy to do those kinds of things, because without that, it is very difficult for somebody to say, I'm going to hang my hat in North Lawndale if there's no building for me to put my business in. So that's just one example of a barrier that we have that's really hard to overcome that we need to focus on.
Yeah, Kenya, thanks for, and Deborah as well, thanks for both contributing. And Kenya, I think ahead of that meeting, definitely touch base with you and Dion Bowe from Urban Main Streets. I'm not sure if she's still around, but we've been talking about just kind of capacity building for these corridors and businesses with her a lot. So I think both of them, if you're available, will be excellent resources for kind of a more in-depth discussion as well. I'm in the short amount of time, I've heard quite a few comments from prospective developers or business owners on the west side, and so I know that there's a lot of barriers and challenges that are out there.
For sure, I would love to be a part of it.
Excellent. Yeah. We have coordinating meetings, corridor managers and Dion and Caroline from LISC. And so I will add you onto that. And if you're not available for like our monthly time that we do it, I'll try to, adjust so you can be a part of that conversation and we can all kind of plan this together.
For sure. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Well, all right, folks, unless anybody else has a burning question or comment, I don't want to, run over too long. Last call, anyone?
I'm good.
No, great job.
No, thank you. And thank you so much, everybody who contributed to the conversation today. This is definitely more the type of format that I see us embracing going forward for these meetings, with community voices taking more of the lead. So now that we've had a chance to, I think, do a little bit more strong coordination on the side between DPD and corridor managers, like I said, hopefully this is the format that we, take with us going forward. So yeah, thanks again, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.
Everyone have a great day. Bye-bye.
Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next month.
Yep.